Hola, I hope everyone is feeling great. I had a couple thoughts today and I was like, let me just get on and share, see if anyone is on. I was going to do a check-in at first and I was like, no, let me just go with the vibes that have been present for me today and share that and see if it resonates. So earlier today, I was on a call with my therapist, and I shared a story, like a snippet of a story that is common for me to refer back to. And I realized today, for the first time, the reason why I refer back to it so often is because it's definitely set a trajectory for how I operate and show up in the world. So I went to a high school that was elementary, middle, and high school that was very competitive. And the majority of people there had a goal to get into an Ivy League school, which is wonderful, great goal to have if it's in alignment with your desired state. That was never my goal, never my desired state. I always wanted to go to UNC. I wanted to be around more Black and brown people, period, and experience a different culture. So it wasn't until maybe 8th grade, I think, when I experienced someone of a different ethnic culture than me crying over an A- that I realized, oh, wait. We have different goals. Your A- that you're crying about, I'm going to rate it differently than the B+ that I received, because I know that my B+ is an A if I was at a different school. And if going to Harvard was my goal, then I would be at a different school getting that A+, but that wasn't my goal. So I had to realize that I could shift my perspective, and that my perspective needed to be aligned with my desired state, my desired goal, which was to go to UNC. And not to say that that was easy to obtain. Getting into UNC out of state is very, very, very challenging. However, I had a better chance because there were fewer people from my school competing against me. But what does this matter, right? I had to recognize, today I realized that in that moment, I recognized a small win for myself, and I allowed that small win to be an indicator of so much magic that unfolded in my life when I got serious about my goals, saw myself at UNC, would accept nothing less, and got into UNC. And that was such an amazing phase and journey in my life of really just calling that in, knowing that life wasn't going to be over if I didn't get in, because to be honest, I applied to about 5 different schools in North Carolina because I said I'm going to get there, and if at the least I will transfer. It was just I had every avenue figured out except for Duke. I did not apply to Duke. However, I knew I would get to Chapel Hill one way or another, and that drive, that determination, it really led me in through challenges like taking exams, SATs, AP courses, being in a part of different organizations and stretching myself, what some would consider to be thin. But I knew that everything that I was doing had its role in getting me to my desired state, because in my mind I was already there. Carolina Blue Kicks, right? It was already done. So why is that important now? Because I've been thinking a lot recently about, when you're in high school, especially those last 2 years, you do so much, or at least I did so much, right? And I was excited, I had a social life, I had relationships, I did so many things, and I'm sure I felt tired, but I didn't feel burnt out. I was still watching MTV, I was still watching America's Next Top Model, I was still on the internet till late at night, just doing my things. But why did I have so much energy, so much life force at that time, even though I was doing the most? It was because my goal was in alignment with my desired state, and I knew that everything that I was working on was going to get me there. So I've been asking myself recently, as I've been thinking back on this, what's different between then and now? I'm still doing a lot of things, right? I still have a goal, but do I know how everything I'm doing is lining up to me achieving that goal? Because it was similar in college too. You take a whole lot of different classes, but you know that all of those classes have a point toward your final degree. They're a requirement in one way or another. So you get through it. The way that at least my life is set up, I think perhaps a lot of our lives is set up, is that there are different things on our to-do list, life list, but is it clear to us how they fit together to work toward helping us achieve the goal? Do we see ourselves in that desired state, knowing that everything we do right now is a step toward that desired state? I think that at this point right here, because this message is coming in so clear to me in different ways, I realize that this is the time that I need to really get clear about outlining everything for myself. I know that I wouldn't have received the preview of what things would look like for myself if it wasn't in alignment with my desired state. However, like making it very clear, making it plain and visible for myself helps to take that next step forward, so I can always know that everything is in its place. Like all my classes are scheduled for either this semester or that semester, and it's leading toward me graduating. Something about that just makes it a lot clearer. It feels a lot smoother. So I wanted to pose the question out to y'all, like, do you clearly know how your goals are helping you to achieve your desired state? Are they in alignment with your desired state? How do you keep track of that? How do you recognize and reward yourself for saying, okay, yeah, I am in alignment. I know I'm doing this. I'm thinking this. I'm feeling this way, because it's leading me toward embodying that person who I know I already am, the future version of myself in that desired state. Something interesting happened when I was getting ready to go live. I was actually doing a little bit of work, and I opened a website on my MacBook. I also had my iPad open. Something I must have pressed, I think like the Google Chrome icon at the bottom of my iPad popped up, and I tapped it by accident, and it zaps over the window I had open on my computer. I didn't ask you to do that, but it just reminded me of the fact that if that signal, if that frequency can be sent from device to device via Bluetooth, via Wi-Fi, then what are the signals that we are sending out? Like, what is the signal that I'm sending out between me right now and my future self? Is it in alignment? And if it's not, then how are me and my future self going to be communicating? How am I going to get there if we're not on the same frequency? If I can't receive that document transfer just as quickly? So the point is, be in alignment with your future self. And that's really, really the why for creating Small Wins, Big Magic. Because it's so easy to check things off the to-do list. And even though we can check things off of a to-do list, we can also feel burnt out, tired, unfulfilled, because it's not clear how the things, the actions, the goals we're achieving on our to-do list are aligning with the version of us that we see in our desired state. However, through small things, mindset shifts, taking a moment to regulate our nervous system, we can shift toward a desired state. But why does that matter? Like, why do I need to regulate my nervous system in order to achieve the health, wealth, and happiness that I know is mine in my desired state? Why does that matter? I was watching, well, I will be completely honest. So many thanks to the People CPA, Shania Wilson. She gifted me Neuroknowledge's book, Outsmarting Reality. I bookmarked probably half of the pages in the book because something that I read aligned with what I was thinking, my research, all of these things. So recently this week I had a dream that I was going to meet Neuroknowledge. I was like, oh, let me grab my book because I've got all these pages bookmarked. I share that because there's been a little bit of friction for me between like reading the book, which I enjoyed so much, and than watching Neuroknowledge's content on YouTube. So the past few days I made intentional action to listen to some of the videos that were a bit shorter. I didn't know if I could commit to an hour. So I started with a few of them, and, not surprisingly, I enjoyed what I was watching. I received the information. And something that I appreciated being reminded of is the importance of shifting our frequency in order to align with our desired state. And how, as he said it, being in a state of struggle, like struggle mentality, survival mentality, it creates a frequency within our body that isn't in alignment with the highest frequency that we can receive, the frequency of our desired state, right? If you want all of the things, all of the abundance that exists at the highest frequency, not the frequency that is struggling presently, right, to survive in survival mode. And it very much connects, if it's, on a more psychological level, with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like, Maslow states it as you have to fulfill the lower needs to get to the higher needs, but you really just have to shift your mindset. You have to shift to be in alignment with your higher self, which is tough. As I posted in a story earlier, like, I've been dreading doing the laundry because I never want to do it. I never want to go down there. I never want to see people. I never want to have to bring things up and down. I never want to use these community machines. Like, I never want to do it. If I'm honest, what have I done to make changes so that's not my reality? That's the question for me right now. Because as soon as I went down there earlier, it was too packed for me to do what I needed to do. And I don't want to stay up late. I don't think I'm comfortable with other people doing my laundry, but might be. And then the last thing is, creating a living situation for myself where the laundry can be right there. I can do it in the confinement of my living space. And that is like the goal, It's harder to achieve that in New York, in Manhattan, unfortunately. But it's something as simple as an everyday task and chore that can really pull you into reality, survival frequency, like the reality of what you have. But if I know that I'm living, maybe somebody else is doing my laundry, but it's in my house and they're doing it for me, and it's amazing, and I never have to think about the laundry again because it's always done and it's always folded. That's how I need to be living in my head, because why not me? Why not you? Whatever it is that you want, the abundance that you want, why not you? Because it's not even selfish if you can have the opportunity to compensate someone for doing something that makes your life easier, right? So the theme of this week for me is shifting and making sure that my goals, even on an everyday task level, how I'm operating on an everyday task level, is in alignment with my desired state, and getting really clear about what that is. Super crystal clear. So I am excited to have just come out and share a bit and get that clarity for myself. I'm accepting, realizing, appreciating the value of communicating more, getting the thoughts out of my head, and allowing them to flow through in a way that is just natural. It's me, no pressure, because it gives me a reflection point of my word choice, my cadence, my ability to show up and smile, all of these things, being my genuine, true self, as well as where I can improve. Always seeking to improve, So I am grateful. I'm super grateful. I will continue to check in and see how this journey helps me to improve my ability to show up for myself, to feel excited every day, to be able to communicate that excitement through my actions, through my energy, through the way my heart beats and sends out electromagnetic signals to you and to you and to you and to you. Because that's what we're here for. I don't want to be a grumpy McGrump. That's not me. It's not me. And I want to share that love and that excitement and that encouragement with you all. And that's what we're here for. It's like every opportunity I get to do that is a small win for me, and I hope it's big magic for you. I appreciate y'all, and I hope that you are feeling amazing. Peace.